Huge class changes have finally arrived from PTR. What's up guys, Petko here. Welcome back for another video. Finally, the long-awaited class changes are here and there's a lot of things to talk about. Most of the classes got flipped upside down, so anyway, enough talking. Let's dive right in and see exactly what they've changed. First, starting with a fan favorites pick, and I told you guys they're gonna buff it. Balance Druid received 8% out of buff. Now, let's talk about it. I don't think that's a good buff for them. Their AoE damage was already decent. The single target, however, was the worst Mythic Plus. 8%, it's not gonna be enough to save them. At least on single target, the AoE department now is gonna look way better. So that's already gonna be pretty strong. I expect another touch on Balance Druid single target down the road, perhaps Rat or Starfire buffs or Star Surge buffs, anything like this to make them better. I would not be surprised. So keep in mind, if they buff Star Surge, that's kind of an indirect buff to the 4-piece and 2-piece of Balance Druid, because you get a free Star Surges there. So maybe that would solidify Elun's Chosen as the best set so far. I think Elun's is already the better one in Mythic Plus, at least. For raiding, unsure. Following the changes here with Windwalker Monk, they buffed the Shadow Pan 4-piece. Now it's gonna trigger from 120 energy instead of 150. Overall great. I still think Conduit is better, and also they got a 5% out of buff on Monks. Monks are eating good. 5% in my opinion make them even better on single target than they were. The AoE department, where the biggest issue came from, not gonna be totally fixed by 5% because most of the abilities are still soft cap, but it's a step in the right direction, and I believe perhaps a future tuning will make them even better. Just keep in mind that Windwalker right now is likely going to be played in a physical comp with Protection Warrior. They both combine very strong, very good together. So overall, I think you're going to be eating good. Maybe down the road, another buff coming for you. Maybe down the road, again, in a halfway patch. Moving forward to Death Knights. First of all, talking about the Rider of Apocalypse, which is mostly played by Unholy. Frost did not play Rider. They were playing Reaper's Mark or Deathbringer. Undead damage reduced by 20%. Reaper Mark is now going to be a smart cast. It's going to automatically transfer to another enemy when the first one is about to die. And also the Unholy 4-piece White Mane Epidemic damage reduced by 25%. Okay, so a lot of people think Unholy was dead anyway, but that is not true. Unholy was quite competitive, not top DPS, but definitely above average. Still behind Frost, obviously. So this nerf to Unholy kind of did not make any sense here. But yeah, interesting. Frost Decay, Throw Pain, Ice Fury damage reduced by 30%. Mana Forge, Omega Force said Throw Pain, Frostside damage reduced by 20. Okay. It's, by the way, nerf to a Rider of the Apocalypse Frost, which again, most of the people never played that Mythic Plus, so don't really matter. Perhaps more raid-orientated changes than Mythic Plus orientated, but still, nonetheless, Frost and Unholy both Riders got nerfed. San Lin, let's see what they've done. San Lin extends the duration of your diseases on the main target by 4 additional seconds from 3. That's a buff to the 2-piece of San Lin. And the 4-piece increased damage of the Inflicted of Sorrow by 35% was 50. Okay, so they are nerfing the 4-piece of San Lin, which I believe San Lin was played mostly by Blood Death Knights. Unholy did not play San Lin at all. And also on top of the nerf on the 4-piece, they buffed Blood Death Knight by 8%, which overall, it's not too shabby. I believe they needed a lot more than 8% buff, but they'll take it. Frost Death Knight has also seen some nerfs here. All damage abilities reduced by 3%. Frostbane damage increased by 15%. Howling Blast now scales properly with Mastery. That's a buff, by the way, Howling Blast. It scales with Mastery properly. Good. Murderous Efficiency now rolls for an additional time when consuming 2 killing machines. Procs with Killing Streak. That's a good bug fix for you. And another bug fix here. Okay, so overall, you've got some positive bug fixes on Frost. The nerf Rider, and it's 3% out of nerf. Deathbringer so far untouched. I told you I do not expect Frost Decay changes because they already did to them. They already did quite a bit the past couple weeks since we've been getting Death Knight buffs and nerfs every week. But this is a very minor nerf to them, which pretty much means I'm now very confident that Death Knight will not be changed. That's the last time we're gonna see them being adjusted. Which again, if I'm right, that's gonna pretty much mean Frost Decay officially S tier starting the season. But again, you never know. Maybe they'll change things. But so far, if I was a betting man and a gambler, I'm gonna bet on Frost Decay now being the best. just because the nerfs are so small, so whatever. Holy War within the Rune Apocalypse now correctly increases all damage taken from Death Knight by 4% per stack. Apparently that wasn't working. Maybe that's gonna offset the nerfs done to them upstairs. Demon Hunter going forward, Vengeance DH, all damage increased by 8%. All damage increased by 8% on Vengeance DH, one of the best tanks on PTR right now, which is kind of interesting. They needed some damage, but I guess that's a compensation nerf with a damage buff. Mastery Blood effectiveness reduced by 17%. That's gonna decrease the durability by a little bit by buffing the damage. I don't know if that's a good trade-off. Less durability, more damage. I'm not sure if that's a good trade-off. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I'm just thinking loud right now, you know. Let me actually zoom my camera a little bit because I'm too far away. Okay, now it's better. Moving forward, Druid. Pharaoh Druid, all ability damage increased by 8%. That is a huge buff for Pharaoh Druids. Okay, so Pharaoh was, I mean, I already mentioned this, but Pharaoh is primarily going to be played in a physical comps. Last season, for example, you saw Brewmaster with Warriors, with Pharaoh Druids in it. Sometimes they have a Rogue, Restoration Shaman Healer as well, etc. So that's going to further make sure Pharaoh remains in a competitive spot when it comes down to Mythic Plus. That's very good buffs to Pharaoh. Big W. Better single target, better AoE damage, better private damage. Big W. Guardian, all ability damage by 12% buff. Very good change for Guardian. Damage department was one of the weakest for them, if not the weakest across all DPS, all tanks DPSs right now. So this overall gonna help them a significant amount. Big W change here for Guardian. Moving forward, Evoker, Chrono Warden. 4-set bonus, additional causes temporal burst to increases the damage of the healing of essence abilities by 30%. I believe Chrono Warden was mostly played by Preservation in Mythic Plus. Augmentation does not play Chrono Warden, they play Skill Commander because a lot of damage is tied to Skill Commander. But they're buffing Chrono Warden and Skill Commander. Bombardment damage now property increases by Might of the Black Dragonflight, Melt Armor, etc. Yada yada yada. Okay. Bug fixes. Augmentation also got 5% more damage. Okay. Let's talk about it. Why are they keep changing augmentation to the direction where they only do personal damage? Right now, their personal damage was already very strong. Likely the strongest we've seen the whole expansion. The buffs they give to the party are very insignificant. Okay. So they keep buffing the augmentation to do more damage by itself, not by giving more to the party, which is kind of interesting. I guess now, obviously, they will do very, very relevant damage to the point where they might not be the worst DPS anymore, but we gotta see. Devastation Evoker, another buff by 3%. They got buffed 2 weeks ago. Now another buff by 3%. Fire damage increased by 20. Firestorm by 20. I think this is all gonna push you to be Flame Shaper and Mythic Plus all over. So which means you're gonna play likely the same builds you were playing last season. Just because they are, I mean, Flame Shaper was already, in my opinion, doing better in Mythic Plus, at least for the majority of the dungeons. But now that they buff Firestorm, Fire, and all damage, I'm pretty confident Flame Shaper now is going to be likely the go-to build for M+ as Death Evoker. Big W change here. Hunter moving forward, chat. Beast mastering Dark Ranger. Dark Ranger BM is so far behind Pack Leader, so that doesn't really matter. They're buffing Dark Ranger for the, I think, 4th time in a row as BM. I don't know if that's going to help them become better. I will give it a try, see what Dark Ranger BM has in store, but I'm very skeptical here. MM Hunter, Black Arrow reduced by 8%. Another nerf to Dark Ranger, MM Hunter. Very interesting. They keep nerfing that, which, again, they buffed Santino MM Hunter last week. This week they're nerfing MM Hunter Dark Ranger, which, again, pushes you to play Santino everywhere, which is a bit disappointing. I like Dark Ranger playstyle a lot better. Pack Leader BM Hunter has been nerfed once again. The 4-piece got nerfed again by 20%. I told you guys the first time they nerfed it by quite a bit. People were like, oh, huge nerf. It wasn't enough. 20% nerf now is going to definitely be noticeable. That's a huge AoE nerf. That Frenzy also got nerfed on the Pack Leader. Very big nerf, in my opinion. Sentinel 2-piece has been... Boon of the Loon aim shot damage bonus reduced by 20 from 30. Interesting. Does that account for every single Hunter spec? Because I'm pretty sure that they buffed that for the MM Hunter. So that's a nerf to Sentinel. I guess it doesn't say specifically for MM or BM. I would assume here this is nerf overall for Bolt, Survival, and also MM Hunter. But yes, 4-piece got nerfed, 2-piece also got nerfed Sentinel, which is nerfed to Survival, and also MM, unless I'm reading something wrong. Beast Mastery also has been buffed here. Killer Instinct now is gonna scale. Kill command damage increased by 8 to 16%, and it was 5 and 10. That's actually more damage to kill command, which means more AoE, more single target. I don't know if this buff offset the nerf to the pack leader. We need to see. I gotta sim it, but in my opinion, it's definitely gonna help the nerfs right now. But below that, you saw 5% less damage to the Beast Mastery Hunter, which pretty much means aura nerf to them. This is the 4th consecutive nerf to BM Hunter, and I'm pretty confident right now after this, we are not looking that good as we were looking before. You're likely gonna fall off the tier list by quite a bit. Single target is gonna be definitely noticeable. Maybe it's gonna be now average single target. AoE, mass AoE is still gonna be very strong, but smaller target size pools, you're gonna suffer, and you're gonna likely get out DPS by a lot of classes. So that might be the end to BM Hunter. We'll see. I gotta test it today. Mage Fire, Frostfire has been buffed. Frostfire burst by 50% buff. Excess Frost now cast Ice Nova at 200% effectiveness. Mana Forge to set Ignite damage bonus increased from 50 to 75, and Frostfire Bolt increased from 5 to 8% damage amplifier. Huge buff to Frostfire Fire. Keep in mind they nerfed that last week. Now they're buffing it. I don't know. They haven't made their mind exactly what they're looking for, but maybe the Ignite Frostfire Fire is back. I'm not sure. Frost Mage has been nerfed a little bit. In my opinion, don't really matter. That's very small nerf, so whatever. I wouldn't really care about it. Spellslinger and Frostfire Frost are very close together right now. Simming wise, you can still play both. Fire Mage, they're pretty much admitting that Sun Fury was doing way too much damage, and now they're going to be nerfing it. Mastery Ignite damage reduced by 10%. That's a huge nerf to Mastery Ignite damage, by the way, on Fire. This will be noticeable nerf. Controlled Destruction has been updated. Ignite damage bonus reduced to 0.3% per stack with 0.5. Significant nerf here to Controlled Destruction. Meteor damage increased by 20. I don't think this damage buff will offset the nerfs done to them. That's definitely going to be a nerf to Sun Fury Fire. Question is, who is now better, Sun Fury Fire or Frostfire Fire? I have no idea. I'm going to be testing it, but it's definitely a noticeable nerf to Fire Mage as Sun Fury. Moving forward to Paladin here. Hero to the Sun. Pretty much some bug fixes and nothing else. Pretty disappointed. I was looking forward to see Retribution Paladin being nerfed or buffed or something else. I would say buffed more like in single target, but they've done no changes to them. Holy Paladin, on the other hand, however, has been getting a small healing buff. Pillar of Light, Beacon of Virtue healing increased by 25%. Another small buff for Holy Paladin, so they keep ranking up, keep climbing up the ladder. Moving forward, Priest Shadow. Priest, chat. Let's see what they done. Mind Blast damage increased by 30%, but does not apply to Void Blast. Pretty disappointing. I don't think you care about the Mind Blast damage outside of your Void form. But whatever. I mean, I guess it's something that's damage. Damage during off cooldown slightly better. Insignificant in my opinion. Mind Flay damage by 20%. Insignificant buff in my opinion. Halo damage by 30. I mean, that's a buff to Archon for sure, but is Archon going to be better now? I don't think so. I don't think that's going to help you. Psychic Link is now going to do 40% more damage instead of 35. That is around, quick math, 15% buff to Psychic Link. Psychic Link was already first on damage, so that's actually significant buff to your AoE damage. But they've taken the Insidious Ire increases damage done by from 20 to 40 to 10 and 20. That's actually a significant nerf to Insidious Ire, which this nerf might offset the buffs to Psychic Link, which pretty much means your single target might get nerfed by a little bit, but the AoE damage should now be better. Again, that's what I think. It might not be the case. I need to be testing it, but at first glance, that's a buff to AoE damage. And Insidious Ire is definitely gonna be a noticeable nerf on single target, which again, it could translate also in AoE nerf too, if you're playing that talent. I need to be testing that one. Gotta speak also to public, see what he thinks about it. But overall, expected changes to Shadow Priest. Moving forward, Shaman. Please, Lord, let me see some Shaman buffs finally. Ancestor Chain Lightning damage increased by 40. Okay, so Farseer in Mythic Plus is never played. It's whatever. That damage amplifier is it's useless. Whatever. Don't really care about it. They've bug fixed Totemic finally, which means you'll be able to play Totemic Enhanced Shaman. Big W for that one. 1 month later. Still gonna be testing it today, see exactly what has been changed. Elemental Shaman changes disregarding if you play Stormbringer or Farseer. Ele Blast damage by 25%. Lightning Bolt damage increased by 35. Lava Burst by 35. Frost Shock by 50. Earthly Rage by 35. Earth Shock by 25. Ice Fury by 35. I already told you guys Ele will get buffed on single target, and those are rather significant buffs on single target. Lightning Bolt by 35% is insane, because majority of your damage comes from Lightning Bolt. So that's actually insane buff on single target. Lava Burst and Ele Blast mode damage is very good, which pretty much means way better single target, way better prior damage, and AoE mostly unchanged, just because you main damage amplifier in AoE is Earthquakes and Chain Lightning. So overall, a massive W for the Shamans, and we'll be testing the buff today. Very excited about it. Bug fixes on Enhanced Shaman. Moving forward to Warlock. Demonology Diabolist. Very expected nerf here. I told you last week they have been nerfing Eye Blast 100%. It was doing the most damage by far, and they took it by half. I don't think that's even enough. I expect another 2-piece nerf on Demonology. I don't think that's enough in my opinion. It's gonna get nerfed again probably. But that's a huge nerf to the Demonology Diabolist. Wicked Cleave also nerfed by 20%. Chaos Salvo nerfed by 20%. Fel Seeker nerfed by 20%. Huge nerfs to Demonology Diabolist. Huge. Unfortunately, no King Rules forever, so they have taken the crown away from Demolock. Affliction Lock Unstable Affliction increased damage by 35. Summon Darkly does more damage by 35. Focus Malignancy is now gonna do 80% more damage if your target is affected by Unstable Affliction. This is actually insane buff to single target on Affliction Lock. That is 40% more damage done with your Malefic Rapture if you have Unstable Affliction in. That means your prior damage in single target is gonna skyrocket big time. This is a significant buffs to single target, especially if you top it up with Unstable Affliction buffs and Summon Dark Clear, which again, if you compare this to this, is not as much, but it's still some buffs on single target. This is the biggest one. This is actually a very huge buff to Affliction Lock. So I want to see the sims for Affli, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be up by at least 10% more SD. At least, I would expect at least 10%. Maybe like, okay, maybe like if I'm being liberal, maybe less, maybe like 7 to 8, but this should be a significant buff. Exactly what I needed. Perfect buffs. I'm surprised there is no buffs for Destruction single target, which is pretty bad too, but I guess we gotta wait and see. Warrior Arms increased by 5% more damage, and Warrior Fury increased by 5%. Another buffs to Warriors, both Arms and Fury by 5%. Believe it or not, I believe Fury Warrior is actually better in some instances compared to Arms, but not by a large margin. Yeah, overall that's everything so far. I expect to see 2 more weeks of class changes. I will open the calendar, so the next ones should come around between 29th and the 1st next week. Those should be the final pre-patch changes, which should be the more significant one, and which means during this week between the 4th of August and 8th of August, those should be very minor touches and changes to the classes. But I expect still 2 more class changes, once this week, once the week after, and that's pretty much all for before the season. Maybe after the season there will be a lot more, but maybe after World of First Race down the road, maybe after August. But yeah, that's everything, chat. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you today on stream to be testing every single spec in class. Bye for now.